What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. In this video, it's August 28th. We made it to Monday here, the weekend before Labor Day. Hopefully, you guys got a bunch more fantasy drafts, throughout the week, and hopefully on Labor Day weekend. So in this video, we're going to get you guys ready. I'm going to go over my targets and avoids for all quarterback, running back, wide receivers, and tight ends. For me, I really don't have much of a target and avoid list for quarterbacks. I think it's more about a strategy that I like to enact here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go over the quarterbacks. This is my cheat sheet, which you guys can go and print on thefantasyfellowship.com. I'll show you real quick where it is. If you guys go to, there should be a link in the description. It's called the 2023 Playbook. That's where everything that I put out is for free for you guys this year. You scroll on down here a little bit. I do have some rankings by position, but you want to download that universal rankings cheat sheet, you can do that. Otherwise, I do recommend downloading the projections cheat sheet, because I think to me, I like drafting off the projections a little bit more than the rankings, because it just tells me who I have a little bit higher here and I shoot for the ceiling more. So I do have that for download. But for me, talk about the QBs, man. I don't aggressively target the top three QBs. When they fall, and sometimes I'll collect them. But I think between Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, personally, I love to stack those quarterbacks, whether I get AJB and Hurts or AJB and say I get Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts, or Josh Allen and Diggs, or Mahomes and Kelsey. I think those are really fun opportunities to stack and have some fun with your team. I'm not really targeting or avoiding those guys. If they fall to me, I do take them. But my overall strategy for quarterback that I've talked pretty much in all my mock drafts, if you're in a 1 QB league, a 10 team or a 12 team, I generally like to wait and be the last person to draft QBs. Now, there are a couple of exceptions. There's some guys that I like when they fall. I'm open to Lamar Jackson. He's a pretty good option here as the 4th QB. Otherwise, I'm trying to find a QB that's ranked outside the top 5 that I think has top 5 upside, and that is Justin Herbert. I think they have a really good chance of throwing for 5,000 yards. He could lead the league in yards and touchdowns this year, and he's going to have his mobility back this year after healing from that cracked rib injury. So the number one target that I have at QB is Justin Herbert. I think if you can get Joe Burrow, I'm fine with Joe Burrow. I'm even fine with Justin Fields here. But the guy that really sticks out to me among the top 7 or so is Justin Herbert. So I usually wait on QB around round 5, round 6. I'll look for Justin Herbert. If he's there, I'll collect him. And he's also easy to stack, whether you get Eckler, Keenan Allen, or Mike Williams. It's fun to stack Herbert with those weapons. You can also stack Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase or T. Higgins or even Joe Mixon if you wish. I am slightly concerned about the calf strain, but I don't think it's going to be a long-term issue. So to me, the first target QB is Herbert. I'm fine with Justin Fields. I don't know if you need to stack him with anybody. And then kind of like the last guy that I look for is Trevor Lawrence falling? Because I think after him, there's a huge debate on which quarterbacks, should be ranked where. So to me, it's kind of like Herbert. Sometimes I'll take Burrow and Fields if they're falling, and then I do take a decent amount of Trevor Lawrence. So honestly, I'm looking at these guys here. They're all being kind of projected outside the top 5 QBs, and I think they all have legit chances at getting in there. But I think Herbert's the top guy for me. But after that, let's get back to that idea that I was discussing of being one of the last teams to take a QB in your draft, whether it's a 10-man or a 12-man league. I like to grab 2 of these guys here that I have highlighted because I can play matchups. And then by waiting for these guys, it allows me to just stack my roster with running backs, receivers, and a tight end. And if I grab 2 of these guys, I don't care which duo. Honestly, they're all really, really good quarterbacks. They all could be top 10, top 12 QBs. I think Watson's going to have a nice bounce back with the Browns for his first full season. I think Daniel Jones is he's a phenomenal sleeper here. He's finally got a stud wide receiver in Darren Waller to throw the ball to. The Giants should be better offensively as well. So I like Daniel Jones quite a bit. I even like Geno Smith, who he's got DK and Lockett, for sure, week 1, and also Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. And then at some point, we're going to get JSN, and that offense should continue to hum. So I like waiting for Geno. If I can grab Daniel Jones and Geno, I'm going to do it. Anthony Richardson's one of my favorite guys to put at the QB spot because I think he's going to end up averaging 16 to 18 points per game. And, man, when he hits a big rushing day, that could be just an easy 25 points. He's basically Jalen Hurts' body, but with Lamar Jackson's wiggle. So I like Anthony Richardson. I don't even care about the passing stats. I think he's going to run wild. Dak Prescott's asleep. If you came away with Dak and Tua, that's pretty fun. If you came away with Kirk and Goff, I think that's really fun. And again, waiting for this tier and grabbing 2 of these guys allows you to really stack the rest of your roster. As far as quarterbacks I'm avoiding in a 1 QB league, I'm not taking Rodgers, Wilson. I think that's kind of the cutoff line. Like Jared Goff is the last QB that I would want on my roster because then I just don't see the need to have these guys as my QB2, especially if I can get two of the guys above the Goff line here. So I'm kind of avoiding guys below Goff here. QB16 on my list, that's Goff. Avoiding these guys. I would say in a super flex league, my strategy real quick would be yeah, if you can grab one of the top 8 guys as your anchor, go ahead and do that. And then what I do want is I want 2 QBs to play matchups with. And whether that's, Anthony Richardson and Dak, if I can go down here and get Kenny Pickett and Jordan Love, Derek Carr, like I really like this group right here from Pickett, Love, Carr, and Purdy. If I can get 2 of those guys as my QB2 and play matchups, I think that looks really good. I also think there's value down here with Sam Howell and Mac Jones. So my super flex strategy, grab one of the top 8 guys and then grab 2 guys at the end of the draft to have a competition for your QB2 spot. Let's move on to running back. And my running back targets, I mean, obviously the guys at the top end are super elite. And I've been telling people all summer that if you have an opportunity to take a top 6 back, you should do it. To me, the receivers that I'm taking it's Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. But if you want to cut ties in all of these receivers, honestly, if you want to cut ties in favor of the running back, I'm totally fine with it. These guys are anchor stud running back ones. They are elite. And to me, the biggest target probably is Tony Pollard. I have him ranked at RB3. He's one of my favorite values. I love Bijan as well. You can start your draft in the first round with one of these guys. You can even get Tony Pollard in the second round. But I absolutely love Tony Pollard. I think his usage is going to be pretty insane this year. And Bijan's about as safe as they get. So if you're looking for a top-end target, it's Pollard and Bijan for me. I like Barkley. I like Chubb. Don't get me wrong. I'm not really targeting Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry. They're slight avoids for me. I'm heavily targeting Jahmyr Gibbs in a full PPR league. I think Aaron Jones is a target in full PPR leagues as well. Mixon, I'm kind of whatever on, if he falls, he falls. But the main target that I love here is Dameon Pierce as my running back too. I think he's been a workhorse all preseason long. I know they're on a bad offense, but they were bad offense last year, and he was still a really good runner. So I think Pierce has like 1,200-yard upside. If he stays healthy, if he falls into the end zone 6, 7, 8 times, he's going to be a top 12 running back. So Dameon Pierce is a priority target for me in the 4th or 5th round as an RB2. Otherwise, other targets for me, I like J.K. Dobbins and Brees or David Montgomery a lot. And these guys go much cheaper than where I have them ranked. These are full PPR rankings right now. I have Dobbins and Montgomery both locked in as running back twos. They're huge targets for me. I know the Ravens are going to run the ball a ton with Dobbins, and I'm hoping they throw him the ball a little bit more with the new offensive coordinator. And then with David Montgomery, I mean, we saw what Jamal Williams did last year in this offense. I think Montgomery's a better talent. I think the Lions offense is going to use him a lot, and they're going to get both Gibbs and Montgomery on the field together. I like both Montgomery and Gibbs, Dobbins. James Cook is a target for me in full PPR leagues. I don't really care about the red zone rushing touchdowns. He's going to get the ball a ton, and he's going to lead the team in running back receptions. Another target for me is Alvin Kamara, and I'm really bullish on the New Orleans Saints offense this year. They have the easiest schedule by far in terms of, opponent win-loss projections here. And Kamara's 3-game suspension. You can find a guy to start for 3 games, and then you get an RB2 back week 4. I like Kamara a lot on that list. Other sleepers here, I like targeting Brian Robinson. I like targeting Antonio Gibson, both Commanders running backs. If I had to choose one in full PPR, I'm going to go Gibson. In half PPR or standard, I'm going to go Brian Robinson. I do think Samaje Perine fits really nicely with Alvin Kamara. For 3 games, I'll start Samaje Perine. They're not going to give Javonte a ton of touches right away. He's going to have to kind of ease his way back in and get his strength up. So Perine and Kamara, that's a good duo. Other guys that I'm targeting here on my bench, obviously against Jaylen Warren, he's the one guy that I want you guys to target and put on all of your benches. I also like Kenneth Gainwell, Tajay Spears. See if I got any more for you. That's pretty much it for the target list. As far as avoids for me, I'm not really into Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs. The stink of the Raiders is concerning, and I think the Titans' offensive line is going to be pretty bad, and Derrick Henry's just another year older. I'd rather take receivers where Jacobs and Henry go. Other running backs I'm avoiding. I don't take a lot of James Conner just because I think the Cardinals are going to be in for a long year. I think the Patriots are also going to be – they have a really tough schedule. I don't really like Ramondre Stevenson as a running back 1. If you can get him as an RB2, I'm fine with it. Personally, I just don't like taking running backs coming off of serious knee injuries, and that's both Brees and Javonte Williams. If you can get them at a deal, I'm okay with it, but I'm not in love with them. I'm also not really targeting Alexander Mattison, Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor. These guys don't end up on a lot of my teams. And then the last one here for you guys, I'm not really taking Miles Sanders. So That's kind of how it goes. But I love getting an elite running back one. And then if I can get like two guys that I feel good that I can start at my RB2 spot, I feel good. If you get Tony Pollard and say Dameon Pierce and David Montgomery, that's a perfect trio for me. I love that trio. But let's move on to the wide receiver room. And I love the wide receivers this year, especially rounds 1, 2, 3. I shouldn't have to tell you to take JJ or Chase. Those guys are obvious targets. I'm fine with Kupp and Hill. I'm fine with Diggs, but the first target I want to make sure you guys get is Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's going to be a 100-plus reception guy for Detroit. They don't really have another number 2 wide receiver. I don't really trust Jameson Williams either. So I think St. Brown's going to just rack up the yards, the catches, and I think he's going to score more I think he's going to be closer to 10 touchdowns this year than he was 6 last year. So Amon-Ra, my first wide receiver target. I'm fine with Lamb. I love A.J. Brown. I love the Eagles offense. I'm fine with Waddle. I'm fine with Wilson. I kind of avoid Devontae Adams just because I'm just kind of not – I'm kind of just not excited about the Raiders. I mean, I'd usually rather take Waddle or Wilson, just young upside talent plays. Adams on the wrong side of 30, and I just don't trust the Raiders. One of my biggest targets for me, really, like this whole tier right here, Metcalf, Olave, Smith, Keenan Allen, Ridley. If you can get 2 of these guys, I love it. If you can get just one of them, I'm cool with it. I have pushed DK Metcalf up to wide receiver 12 in my boards, with JSN probably going to be on the pup list. I don't think he's going to play the first 3 or 4 games, so I'm all in on DK Metcalf. We got a comment real quick here. Would you rather draft Najee Harris or Stevenson? In a full PPR league, I'll take Stevenson. In a half PPR to standard league, I think I'm going to go Najee with that one there, Detective Winston. But these receivers right here, these guys are all on my target list. Olave, they all look great as your wide receiver too. And sometimes if you start 3 wide receivers in your draft, you can get one of these guys as your number 3, which just feels like cheating. So Olave's on the list because I love the Saints schedule. I think Olave's super talented. I love the Eagles offense with Devonta Smith. I love the Chargers passing offense with Keenan Allen and Calvin Ridley. I don't take a lot of T. Higgins. I think he's kind of being overdrafted right now. I don't see him as a top 12 wide receiver. I view him as a solid wide receiver too. Lockett and Mike Williams are big targets for me. Deontay Johnson's one of my favorite targets in a full PPR league. Let me see who else. I like getting Brandon Ayuk as my wide receiver 3 or 4. And then lately, the number 1 target for me has been Jahan Dotson. I think he might be better than Terry McLaurin this year. I had that thought even before Terry McLaurin's injury. And now I have officially pushed Jahan Dotson up over Terry just because I'm nervous about that toe sprain potentially, hitting us back on the head again. I'm bullish on George Pickens and the Steelers offense, so he's a target for me. I'm not really targeting Michael Pittman. I'm just kind of avoiding the passing offense there. I just want Anthony Richardson. He's the only Colt that I want. Other targets for me include Zay Flowers and Sky Moore. Sleepers include Nico Collins. And then I really recommend trying to get one of the rookie wide receivers that I'm going to mention here, Marvin Mims at the end of your draft. And I also recommend down here Jaden Reed or Jonathan Mingo. Try and get one of those guys. I would rank them in that order: Marvin Mims, Reed, and Mingo. And they're not going to be a guy we want to start week 1, but they're a guy that we might be starting in October, November, into December. Big avoids for me at the receiver position. I mean, Devontae is probably the only one that I don't take a lot of the top guys. I try to take a lot of these guys, but I usually don't click on Devontae Adams. I'm just a little bit nervous about the Raiders. Other avoids, I don't take a lot of Deebo Samuel because I take a lot of Brandon Ayuk a little bit later. Other avoids for me, I don't take Marquise Brown. I just don't trust the Cardinals. I'm not taking Terry McLaurin right now. I don't even take the Cortland Sutton, who's now the lead receiver for the Broncos with the Jerry Jeudy thing. I'm also not taking Jerry Jeudy. So let me know if you guys have any more questions on those targets and avoids here. Jar says, I'm Packers fan, hoping for Reed. Dude, I think Reed might be better than Romeo Doubs. And I like Romeo Doubs quite a bit, but the guy that Doubs is a good receiver. Doesn't pop in a lot of the metrics, but Jaden Reed is a very good route runner, and it looks like him and Jordan Love have a decent connection, so far through 3 preseason games. I like what I'm seeing there. He's a guy that, again, we're probably not going to start week 1, but if he goes out and he catches 4 for 62 and a touchdown, I'm not going to be surprised. So absolutely love stashing. Again, those rookies I mentioned, Marvin Mims, Jaden Reed, Zay Flowers is on that list for me as well, and Jonathan Mingo. I like grabbing those guys that could potentially be in my starting lineup at some point during the season. Now, my tight end strategy, if I can't get one of the top 5 ones, I'm not taking one until later. So there's just no positional value at tight end because they don't get a lot of points. Like obviously, yeah, Kelsey's the best. Mark Andrews is a pretty good target. But the way I've been telling people to take tight end is I'm looking for Darren Waller in the 5th round. If I can get Darren Waller, cool. If I can't, I'm going to go ahead and take Dallas Goedert in the 6th round. And those are the only 2 tight ends that I like grabbing early. Otherwise, I'm going to wait. I'm going to skip Hockenson. I'm going to skip Pitts. I'm going to skip Kittle. And then I look for Pat Freiermuth, who I just think is going to be a safe and steady target for Kenny Pickett. You got to worry about defense has got to worry about Deontay and George Pickens and Najee Harris and Jalen Warren in the backfield. So Pat Freiermuth gets to kind of run free. I think he only had 2 touchdowns last year. He's going to probably be closer to 6, 7, 8 this year. So again, my tight end strategy is I want Waller or Goddard. And then there's a little drop off to Pat Freiermuth. I think those guys are all really good safe picks this year. I'm not really super excited about Hockenson, Pitts, or Kittle. I get that they're very talented, but I have more questions, and my general feelings towards Waller, Goddard, and Freiermuth are just a little bit better. So I'm more excited about these guys. Otherwise, I mean, Evan Ingram, David Njoku, these guys are fine. I think if you can't get one of these top 10 tight ends, I'm going to just punt the position and grab 2 guys late. And the top sleepers that I want you guys to take this year, Jake Ferguson for Dallas Cowboys, Dalton Kincaid, rookie for the Buffalo Bills, Luke Musgrave, rookie for the Packers. These are my 3 favorite tight ends. If you can draft all 3 of them, do it. I mean, otherwise, I think I'm totally fine rolling in to week 1 with Jake Ferguson and Dalton Kincaid, Jake Ferguson and Luke Musgrave. Even if it was Kincaid and Musgrave, I want these rookie tight ends because I'm pretty excited about their talent. The preseason usage has shown us that they're going to be on the field a ton, and just don't sleep on Jake Ferguson. He's going to be in the Dalton Schultz role. They've showed us that he's the clear tight end 1. He had a really good week 1 preseason game, and then they shut him down for weeks 2 and 3. So Ferguson is the clear starter in Dallas. I have him at tight end 12. So if you can't get one of the top guys, Ferguson, Kincaid, Musgrave, even Jawan Johnson, like Conklin, I don't mind. There's some good players here for you. Do you have Adams far down because of Jimmy? So Jimmy's going to be more efficient than Derek Carr was, but Jimmy does not have the deep ball that Derek Carr does. So what we saw last year, we saw Devontae Adams post. I think he almost posted a career high in yards per catch. I expect that to come down. So his yards are probably coming down, but I think he could be about the same in his receptions. I don't know about targets, but then you also have to worry about a potential Jimmy Garoppolo injury. He just doesn't stay healthy. So I just don't trust the Raiders. They have a really tough schedule this year. I'd rather take some guys that I feel better about in that range. I think if you want Devontae Adams and you can draft him as your wide receiver 2, that's been kind of the exception in the best ball drafts and the other mock drafts that I do. If I start with, Stephon Diggs and I can come back with Devontae Adams right away at the end of the 1st round and early 2nd round, I'm fine with that because that's a huge positional value win. Like putting Devontae as your wide receiver 2 looks really good. And then that's something that I want you guys to think about too, positional value. Being where personally, I think DK Metcalf can finish as a top 12 wide receiver. I think he looks really good as a wide receiver 2 on my roster, but man, if you can find a way to get DK Metcalf in the 3rd round as your wide receiver 3, that looks really good. I also think guys like Devonta, Olave, these guys look great as wide receiver 2s. So positional value is something that I value a lot. And then as far as avoid tight ends, I don't trust Kyle Pitts. I don't think the Falcons are going to throw enough to be able to feature him. And it seems like he needs to prove it to us before I buy in. With Hockenson, I didn't think he was that good last year. He was kind of he didn't really pop in any of the metrics. He was just a guy that caught a lot of passes. He didn't really add anything to those catches. With adding Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne's good. I think it's a little bit more competition for targets. So I'd rather just have Justin Jefferson on the team if I can, or draft Jordan Addison or something like that. So I'm kind of off Hockenson. I don't draft a lot of Pitts. I'm kind of completely off Kittle. He had a spike year in touchdowns last year, so he's an avoid for me. I'd rather have Brandon Ayuk or Debo. And then, that's pretty much it, guys. Those are my main targets and avoids. If you guys want a couple more sleepers, I like Sam Laporta at the end of the draft for a rookie tight end if you want one. Let me see if there's any more sleeper wide receivers. I really like getting the Chiefs receiver Richie James on the end of my bench. I think he's a fun guy that could actually be one of the better players for Patrick Mahomes. Sleeper running backs here. Do not sleep on Chris Evans for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think he's the RB2 going in. I also think Rico Dowdle is the RB2 in Dallas. Keep an eye on that position. And then Kieran Williams for the Rams, and Ty Chandler, another sleeper there for you guys. But that's going to do it for me in this video. Again, I updated everything on my website today. If you guys want to go check it out, just click on the 2023 playbook. Rankings are live. Projections are updated. Cheat sheets are updated. Have fun looking at everything that I got on here. There's articles and bonus stuff as well. So have a good rest of your evening, guys. We'll see you in a future video. Peace.